The conference room felt like a courtroom. 40 employees stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces pale and confused, while the CEO, Eleanor Drake, paced in front of the long glass table like a judge preparing a sentence. Her heels clicked sharply, echoing across the marble floor. No one breathed. And then she said it. Daniel Wells. "You're fired." The words hit the room like a crack of thunder. Daniel stood there frozen, a folder still in his hands, his knuckles white. His coworkers stepped back from him as if unemployment were contagious. Even the air felt heavy, as if it didn't want to witness this. Eleanor's voice sliced through him again. "Pack your things. Security will escort you out." A few people gasped. His heart pounded. He opened his mouth to ask why, to defend himself, to explain anything. But before a single word could leave him, a soft voice behind Eleanor whispered, "Daddy." The entire room snapped toward the sound. It was Eleanor's daughter, tiny, trembling, clutching a pink backpack. She stared straight at Daniel with wide, confused eyes. Daniel felt his chest tighten. She knew him. Eleanor noticed her daughter's stare. Her confusion, her recognition, and something flickered in the CEO's expression. But before anyone could understand what was happening, Eleanor stepped in front of the girl, blocking her view. "Let's go," she said sharply. And with that, the CEO dragged her daughter out of the room, leaving behind a stunned crowd and a man who had just lost everything. Flashback? 1 week earlier, Daniel Wells woke up before dawn. Again, not because he wanted to, but because his 6-year-old son, Oliver, kicked in his sleep and somehow managed to push both of them off the mattress. Daniel groaned, rubbing his back as Oliver giggled. "Did we fall again?" Oliver asked, hair sticking up like a dandelion. "Yep," Daniel muttered, pulling himself up. "You're getting stronger, buddy." He didn't add, "and I'm getting more tired." He got Oliver ready, packed his lunch, fixed his shirt, and walked him to school before sprinting to the bus stop. Being a single dad meant every second of his day was a race one. He was always trying not to lose. Work was his lifeline. The paycheck kept a roof over their heads, school uniforms on Oliver's back, and the lights turned on most months. And yet, despite the pressure, despite the exhaustion, despite the constant fear, he was one paycheck away from everything collapsing. Daniel tried to stay kind, tried to stay human. He didn't know yet how much one small act of kindness would change everything. That's when he noticed her dot. It was raining sideways that evening. One of those storms that made the city feel like it was tilted. People ran with newspapers on their heads, umbrellas turning inside out. Daniel tightened his jacket around himself as he rushed toward the bus stop. A young girl around his son's age sat on a bench, soaked to the bone, hugging her backpack like it was the only safe thing in the world. She kept wiping her eyes, trying to hide the fact she was crying. Daniel slowed down. He recognized that look, lost, scared, alone. He crouched carefully, giving her space. "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help?" The girl sniffed. I lost my mom." "Like, you got separated?" She nodded quickly, tears spilling over. "She said she'd pick me up at school, but she never came. I walked, and I think I went the wrong way." Daniel glanced around. The streets were mostly empty. No frantic parent, no security, no one looking. "All right," he said softly. "Let's get you somewhere safe, okay? I'll walk you to the nearest station. Lots of people there. Someone will help us find her." She hesitated, clutching her bag tighter. "How do I know you're not bad?" Daniel managed a tired smile. "Good question. Smart question. Here's my deal. You stay a few steps behind me. You don't have to talk to me if you don't want to. And the station is bright and crowded and full of cameras. Sound fair?" The girl studied him for a moment, then nodded. They walked through the rain together. She stayed behind him at first, then slowly beside him. He kept his hands visible the whole time, talking lightly to keep her calm. At the station, Daniel approached the security desk and explained everything. After a few minutes, a frantic woman burst in, drenched, trembling, eyes wide with terror. "Sweetheart," she cried, sweeping her daughter into her arms. The girl burst into relieved tears. The mother turned to Daniel, her voice cracking. Thank you. Thank you so much. I was in traffic. My phone died. It's okay, Daniel said, exhausted but sincere. Just glad she's safe. He didn't ask for anything. No reward. No thanks beyond the moment. He simply nodded, turned and walked back into the rain. He didn't. No, the woman was the CEO of his company. He didn't know the girl would remember his face. He didn't know the kindness he gave so freely would soon collide with the worst moment of his life. The next morning, Daniel arrived at work to whispers, confused looks, people stepping away from him. Something was wrong when he reached his desk. HR was waiting with a box already in their hands. Daniel's stomach dropped. What's going on? He asked. They avoided eye contact. The CEO wants to see you. Now. They escorted him upstairs. Straight into the packed conference room. Eleanor Drake stood at the front, arms crossed. Expression cold. We have reviewed the internal audit, she announced to everyone. And we've discovered that someone altered the project numbers on the Westfield account, employees murmured. That's someone, she continued, her eyes locking onto Daniel, is Daniel Wells. Daniel's knees nearly gave out. What? No, I didn't touch those numbers. I swear, we have digital evidence, Eleanor snapped. I didn't do this, Daniel repeated, breath shaking. Please look at me, please. I wouldn't risk my job. I need my son. His voice cracked. Eleanor didn't blink. Security. Officers stepped forward. The room whispered like a swarm of insects. He must have done it. I heard he was desperate for cash. No wonder he works late. Daniel felt himself drowning. His vision blurred. He searched the crowd for even one friendly face. One person who might speak up. No one did, except the small voice behind Eleanor, Daddy. Her daughter had wandered in unnoticed, holding her pink backpack. She stared at Daniel like she already knew him as the man who helped her in the rain. The room fell silent. Mom, she whispered, tugging Eleanor's sleeve, that's the man who saved me. Eleanor froze. Her daughter's hand trembled in her grasp. The entire room shifted, the air suddenly thick with questions. But before anyone could breathe a word, Eleanor dragged her daughter out, and Daniel was fired anyway. Daniel sat on the curb outside the building, box of belongings beside him. Feeling like the world had swallowed him whole, he didn't know how long he sat there before. A black SUV pulled up. The door opened and Eleanor Drake stepped out. Her makeup was smudged. Her hands were shaking, and behind her, her daughter holding onto her sleeve. Mr. Wells, Eleanor said quietly, we need to talk. Daniel stood, heart hammering. Inside the SUV. Eleanor pulled up a tablet and tapped a file. Security footage, keystroke logs, time, stamps, a screen recording, someone else, another manager altering the Westfield numbers. Someone who then logged in under Daniel's credentials, a setup, a cover-up. And Eleanor had seen everything. I was wrong, she said, voice breaking. Blinded, rushed, I needed someone to blame. And you were the easiest target. Daniel swallowed hard. Her daughter looked at him with the same soft eyes as the night he helped her. Mom, she whispered, you have to fix it. Eleanor nodded. And she did. The next morning, she gathered the entire company. Her voice shook as she stood at the front of the same conference room. I made a terrible mistake, she began, and an innocent man suffered for it. Employees exchanged looks. She gestured toward the door. Daniel walked in. People gasped. Eleanor continued. Daniel Wells is exonerated. The real culprit has been terminated and is currently under investigation. She paused, and Daniel is being promoted. Silence. Then applause. Eleanor stepped aside so her daughter could run up and hug him. Thank you, she whispered. Daniel closed his eyes. Overwhelmed, justice had finally arrived. 6 months later, the Reed home looked different. Warm, stable, alive. Daniel now worked as a field safety coordinator, steady hours, real pay, weekends with Mason. He fixed the roof, repaired the kitchen, even planted flowers outside, something he never imagined doing. The little girl Lily visited often with her mom. She and Mason became inseparable. They drew chalk roads across the driveway and traded action figures like sacred relics. One warm evening, Lily tugged on Daniel's sleeve. "Thank you for finding me in the rain," she whispered. Daniel smiled softly. "I should be thanking you." "Why?" "Because helping you helped us too." Later that night, as he tucked Mason in, his son asked the question that always got him. "Dad, why did all those people help us?" Daniel ran a hand through his boy's hair. "Because kindness always comes back. Maybe not right away, but it always finds its way home." He turned off the light, leaving the door cracked open just enough for hope to shine through. And as the camera of imagination pulls back from the humble little house, a quiet voice narrates, "In a world full of storms, be the person who offers shelter. You never know whose life you're saving, or how it might save yours." Like the story. Comment your thoughts. Subscribe for more cinematic true life tales. Question of the day. Has a small act of kindness ever changed your life?